Attention, inhale, sit back, go. Okay.
That was like the best any deadlift I ever felt.
All right. Hey guys, this video is a case study that I recently did where it was a 19-year-old aspiring strength coach and powerlifter who consulted with me regarding his deadlifting. And he wasn't in any acute pain, but he was just frustrated with the lack of progress he was having with his deadlift, as well as he would experience soreness in his lower back, which would take him a day or so to recover after every deadlift training. So he's consulted with other strength coaches, other therapists, but no one was really able to help him with his deadlifting issues. Okay, he had some other issues, had some right shoulder issues where he's lacking external rotation, where he thinks it was coming from excessive bench pressing that he was doing. Didn't think it had anything related to do with his deadlifting. So this video goes over, it's actually an example of if you were a fly on the wall and ever wondered what it would be like to come in for a session or a consult with me in my garage gym. So no big surprise, I generally take people through a basic assessment where I take history, I find out where the client is, what are their needs, what are their complaints, and what are the possible contributing factors that may have led to him up to this point. That's during the history gathering or information gathering phase. Then I'll start the examination phase where I'll look into their posture. Usually I start with their standing posture just to get a general overall view of how they hold or position themselves. And I'll always talk out loud and explain to them what I'm thinking, so that I try to include them as much as possible in the process, because I'm trying to teach them to become their own therapist and their own best trainer at the same time. And then generally after the postural observation assessment is I'll have them start doing some kind of a movement assessment. Generally I'll start always with watching how they walk or run or jump, really depending on what their activities or what their needs are related to their symptoms. In general, I watch them walk, and then from there, I'll have them do some basic movements like forward bending, side bending of the trunk, squatting, hip hinging, and then that'll give me already a baseline sense of where they're at with basic movements, and then I'll get them on the table, and I'll start doing more of the unloaded, supported testing, where I look for more specific relationships in their patterning in their body to see where their compensations are. So in this case, he was he's a classic example of someone who's very strong, who was able to use his strength to compensate for all his holding patterns or patterning. And holding pattern is it's not really an official or scientific term. I don't even know how right or wrong it is, but I use it to describe for clients a situation where their habitual way of moving and positioning themselves so that their nervous system could have the most non-threatening sense of stability and safety to accomplish the goal or task, motor task at hand. So these are holding patterns in that they're successful in accomplishing the task, but they might be somewhat limited, and it's not a matter of quality but rather quantity. Okay, so it's very important to be aware of these holding patterns and what their limits are, especially when somebody has symptoms. This, I'm just going to see a range of movement. So The resistance right there. So I'm going to do a little hip scour and right there. Big speed bump. Okay? Big speed bump. So that's positive sign for hip scour. Person at the hip joint. Okay.
It just popped.
And it just popped. Yeah. So let's compare that to the left. Right there. Oh, look at that. So this one's not as it has a speed bump and not as bad. Okay. So this has a little instability in the hip. It's probably tightening up. So there. Okay. So now just want to see strength here. So just don't kill me. Just match my pressure. Push down. Good. And where'd you feel that? If you had to guess.
If I pushed harder, it would have been in my hip. I can feel it.
Okay. Okay. Push down again. If you had to guess what muscles are working here. And
I feel a little bit in my hamstring, but it feels like something's going on here.
yeah, now watch this. I place my hand by his right psoas muscle, and then push down again.
Oh
Boom,
my God.
and relax. Much stronger
That's like tender here.
and tender. Okay, so just going. I'm not doing any massage. I'm just pressing into his psoas muscle, and this is why you feel that pot plate. This is why you use your back a lot. Okay. So what we're doing, you have extra tone in the hip flexor muscle, and where it attaches into the lumbar spine, it can be considered a deep lumbar spine lower back muscle. So again, another reason when your pelvis pulls forward, this muscle is part of the reason, and forces you to use your lower back more than anything whenever you bend forward. So you're not bending forward so much from the hips as much as you are in your lumbar spine. So here I am checking the strength of your hamstrings, which you felt a little bit, but you felt something in front of the hip, which is most likely his distal insertion of the psoas muscle into the femur. And when I contacted his proximal psoas, everything lit up. Okay, there's a lot of tone, hypertonicity right there, and I'm just trying to disengage it. So this is why I do body tempering. Dudes like this, they're so big and strong, they can't feel any difference between the little gradients of tone or whatever. They need to be strong, so their soft tissues adapt to the loads of their workouts, but they don't have time for any pain or discomfort until someone like me comes here and pokes at your belly. So what we're doing here, I just want to see if that momentarily helps. Now I'm going to take this leg. So I need you to push down again, match my pressure. There you go. Feel that difference?
Big difference.
Okay, so you just momentarily disengage this muscle. We create a little compression to tell the brain it can relax the tone of that muscle, and that allows him to engage more of his hamstring. So imagine that's his normal way of walking around. That's your normal patterning, where you have these muscles that are working where they need to, but you're using your back, all the back muscles that stabilize back to keep it steady for the rest of your body. Right? That's why your shoulder probably can't get external rotation, because your back's not letting go. Your hip, that clicking. You probably had an injury there that might have reinforced those muscles to tense up even more to protect it. Right? So after running them through the table supported assessments, then I'll go right into more specific assessments of their complaint. So in this case, it was the deadlift. So I would look at his deadlifting form, and what you'll see here is he mentioned that he had more problems with conventional deadlifting, which is a more narrow stance, than with a more wide stance sumo style of deadlifting. But both, he would still have issues in his lower back. So some parts of these videos you'll see me assess the technique, and then I'll break it down to see where I felt he needed more work, and rather than have him do the deadlift, I had to break specific aspects where he just was disconnecting or wasn't able to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So you'll see me to engage, to get a better position of his rib cage and his pelvis, to use his abdominal obliques, I would put him on the parallel bars and what's called a plank lean hold, where we get into that gymnastic style hollow body hold and just integrate the abdominal obliques with the serratus anterior or shoulder girdle scapular protractors, which are intimately related with the obliques, and they kind of related to the abdominal obliques. So that just puts him in a better rib cage position, spine position, to get that on the radar of his brain. And then other parts of the video, you'll see I'll have him go into his hip hinge and how to integrate that, what I call rib folding technique or rib folding awareness, where he's using his abdominal obliques in a more shortened position, and have him integrate that into a hip hinge rather than him just using his hip flexors and his spinal extensors, specifically the lumbar spine. So you'll see it's very difficult for him to do so. And in another video, I have him doing a forward reaching exercise using the wall as a reference for his back to disengage. And it's, again, very difficult. So here's a guy who could deadlift over 500 pounds. And as you can see, when you take them out of their holding pattern and teach them, or at least start stirring the pot of what they actually need, so that they could start restoring their soft tissues so that they don't overload them anymore. It's very difficult. And Joe is he's a very smart guy, and he's a very hard worker. He's a grinder. So you can just imagine how well he was able to pick up on these things. So once he was able to engage what he needed to engage, he felt an immediate difference as far as his ability to produce force. So in the last video, in the beginning of this video, where he was only deadlifting with very light weight, 95 pounds on the bar, but the way he did it compared to how he normally does it, he didn't feel anything in his lower back. So that was just evident. That was the end result. That was the last thing. That was the end of the session. It was exactly a 1 hour session. And it's just to give you an idea of what it's like when you work with someone like me. I don't just give you fluffy bullshit, what I learned from my teachers, what I've memorized, or what I saw on YouTube, or what I saw somebody who's more successful or knowledgeable than me, and I just imitate them. I've learned from really good people, but I've also respected and honored those teachers by not really using their stuff and kind of having them influence to stir my creativity, and with the help of previous hundreds, maybe even thousands and thousands of cases of kind of figuring things out and what works and what doesn't, and becoming my own teacher, so to speak, and applying it so that we're not just constantly repeating the same old shit, which is what's natural. We're actually learning the old stuff, but we're applying it in new perspectives, and that's what creativity is. So thank you for taking your time. It's a little bit of a long video, but I wanted to share these type of videos, somewhat case histories, because apparently, from what I'm hearing, there's a rumor that not a lot of people think like me. I thought they did, and I suspect they do, but I'm getting a lot of clients, getting really busy in the garage gym right now. Apparently, other people aren't doing things in the way that I've been doing it, which is great for me and my ego. So I'm here if this resonates with you, or if you like more videos like this, just post a comment on my channel, on this video. And also, while you're here, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to build a channel that's not full of shit or bullshit, but pretty much real and authentic, and show you real-time stuff that I find helps a lot and helps get clients and patients better, not necessarily faster, but just better for what their needs are, and hopefully it's something new that you can learn from these videos as well. So again, thank you. Mom. Breathe forward. Arms forward. Take a breath in. Hold it. Come down. Put your hands on the bar. Reset your breath. Take up the tension. Inhale. Sit back. Go. Okay.
That was like the best any deadlift ever felt.
All right.